Quite simple for Arsenal. All they need to do, regardless of Manchester City's results at lunchtime on Saturday, is to win, and they will be top of the Premier League table heading into the World Cup break. How amazing would that be for your former club?
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like, people are reluctant to say they could potentially win the league. But I've said it many times before.
Why is that, though? Why don't
I don't know,
believe?
because what's the point in everybody else turning up if everyone's saying City are just going to win the league? I think City are fantastic. I reeled off all of their squads literally at the beginning of the show. But Arsenal, you can get a feeling about the club this year. At the Emirates, the atmosphere is different. Almost reminds me, never have I ever thought this, it would remind me of Highbury, the atmosphere at Highbury, because I used to go to Highbury nearly every week, when I played there, just to watch and be amongst Dennis Bergkamp and those types of players. But you can feel it about Arsenal. And I honestly believe the documentary that they brought out at the beginning of the season has really helped, because it showed Mikel Arteta, Granit Xhaka, unbelievable this season. What a story. 2-3 years ago, throws down the armband, throws down his shirt, and he's been, I never thought I'd ever say this, but one of the best players in the Premier League this season. And you've got to give the manager credit. Again, patience. And you can see finally Mikel Arteta's plan coming into fruition with Odegaard, Jesus. He's not scoring, but you can see what he brings to the team. And, I think Mikel Arteta now, after they lost to PSV, he just said the better team won. And I thought that was quite refreshing, to be honest, and not just make excuses when they lose a game. So I think Arsenal are going to push City. I really do. It could come back to bite me, but I really do. And I've said it for a couple of months now, because the feeling is there.
To get to this point of the season, Darren, and for them to still have only dropped points in 2 matches, it's impressive, isn't it? They're a team, as you say, who probably don't want this break right now. They'd like to continue on this run. So what is the job for Mikel Arteta to do whilst most of the players are at the World Cup, but some of them are still around and they can still obviously keep this momentum going somehow? How difficult is that going to be?
It's going to be difficult because the World Cup could affect lots of people physically, psychologically. You don't know what state they're going to come back in. And so it's going to be hard to believe that they're going to be in exactly the same place after the World Cup. And you only have to look at last season, for example. They managed to get into a top 4 position and it was theirs to lose and they lost it. So you can't really count your chickens. You look at Leicester a couple of seasons ago. They were in a Champions League place before the COVID break. And then when the football restarted, they couldn't quite get that rhythm back. So, and you could argue, well, that was a longer break. But the point is that sometimes these breaks come when you least want them. They're such a good side. He's built a fantastic defence. The recruitment's been outstanding in all areas of the park. And now they've got their confidence. They're better for the difficulty of last season. I agree with you. That documentary, one of the best things they've done in years, because people needed to see the context of the success now and that it hasn't just fallen from the sky. They had to go through many low moments as an inexperienced side before they could get to this point where they're really strong. Could they stay in that position? I think if they were to bring in more firepower, they could. And at the press conference today, Arteta was actually asked about it. And he said, yeah, we will be having a look in the window to see what is there. We can't guarantee, but as a club, we always have to be open to it. So we'll see what happens.
Very interesting. As for Wolves, they're a side who actually... The break has probably come at a pretty good time because they've just appointed a new manager, Julen Lopetegui. He doesn't take over until the World Cup break, but he was, here we go, today brought to the club to meet everyone for the first time. This is almost going to be like a bit of a pre-season for Wolves, isn't it, for the players that are around?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a bit... My only concern is that he turned down the job, didn't he, a few weeks ago, and now I wonder what's changed. Maybe they've, said they're going to back him in the window. It's an interesting appointment. I mean, look, he's managed some top teams, Spain, Real Madrid, Sevilla, Porto. You don't manage those teams. And I think it's a good appointment. But I think Bruno Lage, when he first went in, people expected them to be, in and around the bottom. I thought Bruno Lage did better than we all expected. In a weird way. I thought he did a relatively good job, but not good enough. Now, obviously, with Jimenez not scoring, Diego Costa getting sent off and those types of things, I worry because they're very reliant upon Neves, heavily reliant upon him, whereas wherever the goal's going to come from, and, defensively, allowing Conor Cody to go to Everton, it's very strange to me, and he's on loan. How do you let a leader like that, not only playing-wise, go to a team like Everton on loan? It doesn't make sense to me.
If I were a Wolves fan, I'd be relatively optimistic precisely because of what you just said. He turned it down initially. It almost certainly wasn't about money. I think it would have been about investment. I think it would have been about, will I get the players I want? If I get the players I want to be successful, I'll take the job. And that must have been the thing that nudged it over the line. You look at the clubs he's been at before, he's made a good impression, and he's earned the right to be at those clubs. He's a good tactician. He knows good players. He's got good ideas about the game. He could be good for Wolves. They just need more firepower. If they get that, I think they'll be a threat.
And Wolves have got good footballers. You know, you look at Pundits, even Max Kilman at the back. Like, they've got really good players. They play good football, but they just don't have that little bit more of a cutting edge. And maybe, hopefully, Lopetegui can bring that in the window.